Hello and welcome to Indie Game Social Club, the accidental podcast we're all a little bit embarrassed to tell our friends about. I'm your stream master, Brian, and with me today is the lovely, the beautiful Ilker.
Hello.
Ilker.
What's up, Brian?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? I realize there might be some people joining us for the first time because I shared this on my Instagram for the second time ever, and did not delete it. So here. Let's not be ashamed. This is us coming out to the world, our geekiness. As a little intro, I am usually the stream master. My name's Brian. I work in the commercial film industry as a director and former advertising art director. And I love me some indie video games. Ilker, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, for anyone new to me, I work in marketing as well. I'm a so-called paid social specialist, so I work with social media at a advertising agency. Other than that, I play games, some indie games and some AAA games, mostly JRPGs, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So just as a little aside, this we call this a book club with no books, and it kind of started last year as an excuse to finally play those Steam games you bought on sale 4 years ago, and talk about it with other people. And who knew that there was more people than we thought that were into indie games and stuff like that. I was vaguely into indie games, and I got really into indie games last year when there was nothing else to do. So normally we pick a monthly game and we discuss it much like a book club. This month's game will be Valhalla, which is a cyberpunk bartending video game. And I haven't really touched it yet, but we will be discussing that in about 2 weeks, Ilker?
It's in 2 weeks, and I touched it a little bit during the days. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to spoil my thoughts about it. Other than that, I actually quite like it. It's a super chill game.
Great.
I'll say that.
Nice.
A good soundtrack.
I can't wait to dive in. The cyberpunk is so hot right now,
Yeah.
But today we're starting a brand new stream for the first time we like to call Smalltalk, and basically it's kind of like our streams on our monthly discussions started being 2.5 hours, so to spare and get us straight to the monthly game discussions, we're kind of saving the small talk on indie games for the in-between times, like now. So we're going to use this as an opportunity to talk about all the other big and small games that we've played in between our discussions. But yeah, with that said, what you been playing, Ilker?
Okay, so I got back from my parents from holidays last week. I haven't had that much time to play anything really. I went straight back to work, and there's been a lot things to do after New Year's. And the little time I've had, I played Sakuna of Rise and Ruin, the game that I started playing during the holidays.
You are all about that game these days.
I am all about rice farming right now. I'm learning so much about the rice farming. It's actually, I did not expect that going into this game. I have an understanding what the basics of growing rice or cultivating rice is, and cultivating fertilizer and good soil.
Which is you can only get something like that from an indie game, right? So give us the elevator pitch for what Sakuna of Rise and Ruin is.
Shit. So it's a mix between a side-scrolling action RPG with rice farming simulator as the second part of the game. So you between these two parts, you go on your adventures and collect material, crafting or soil and stuff like that. And the other part is you grow rice.
Like,
But
and
like
it's like
Sakuna,
pretty deep and involved. Like you have to know about fertilizer and stuff like that,
the
right?
thing is, like, what I would give that game is like it gives you enough to beat the game without like delving deep into the mechanics.
Right.
But
Self-discovery
like
or player
exactly,
discovery.
but like there is a lot of depth to how you grow your rice, and even like to the combat system if you want to, and you can just discover these like through the guides. There's like in-game guides for that.
Yeah.
Um, but you have to like you still have to go into the menu and look these things up on your own, because it's not going to tell you what the best type of fertilizer for the season or for the type of result you actually want from your rice, because
Yeah.
you can grow the rice in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And since she's like a harvest goddess, Sakuna is like her power is based on the quality of your rice. So you can either go quality or for quantity. And if you go for quantity, you can use the rice that you have after the harvest to
Yeah.
trade with the capital and get new items and stuff.
If
So
anyone is just jumping into the conversation right now, they're like, "Oh my god, they really are doing small talk. They're talking about rice."
yeah.
Dreamer Deceiver 666 in chat says, "I hate M3 concept." Dreamer Deceiver is my buddy Mark that I've known since the first grade. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
He's the first person I ever knew that got into indie games. Actually, he's the one I was telling you guys about. That was like maybe more like 10 years ago. Was playing the Stanley Parable before anyone knew what
Oh,
indie
right.
games
Yeah,
were.
yeah, yeah. You talked about him yesterday.
Yeah. And M3 Concept is a high school friend of mine that just gave us a follow yesterday, and I'm gonna go replay that. Thank you for the follow, buddy. But yeah, sorry to cut you off. It's just funny, like
No,
with
no worries.
indie games, like you think about a AAA game like Halo. I'm dating myself. Like Call of Duty or something like that, or Assassin's Creed. And people are like, "Oh yeah, you go around, you hack and slash, and you steal things, and blah blah blah." And everyone's like, "Ooh, right?" And then you go indie games, and like, "Oh yeah, you're a cyberpunk bartender listening to people's problems, and you get to serve a drink and pet a corgi." And I'm like, "Ooh," like I have the same reaction, because it's just like, give me the bizarre, unique concepts, and sometimes it's like we discovered this all last year. Sometimes it's executed beautifully, and you get a really emotional experience for like sometimes $5, more so than a AAA experience, and I'll take that any day.
Yeah, like I again, like I think I saw the trailer for this game. I think it was last summer during one of the like Nintendo Directs, and it immediately looked appealing. Because
It's
when I
called.
saw like
Sorry, I'm typing it in right now. It's called Sakuna of Rice and Ruin.
right, yeah, and immediately it reminded me of Mystical Ninja for the N64. If you remember that, and specifically like Mystical Ninja 2, which they turned into a side-scrolling action game. The first one was more like a Zelda. And yeah, I was just like, I was waiting for the release, and once it came out, I bought it, and I haven't played it until until recently. Like it came out in November. So it's really recently.
I mean, I've heard good things.
But yeah, I think it's got like really good, like good reviews, like overall good reviews.
Yeah.
There are some flaws to it, like it could use a little bit more polish at some parts, but it's like it's not in the way in a way. But like you have they've done a really good job with the voice acting. Like they actually put
it's voiced. That's nice.
It's voiced, like all the dialogues are voiced, which is fantastic. I love that. But the Switch version, and I think the PC version has the same problem. The sound is very compressed. So it's
I hate that. Just like crunchy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it kind of sounds like a GameCube game or a Nintendo 64 game, which adds a little bit to the nostalgia that I'm feeling while playing that game. But
it looks like kind of GameCube-esque graphics, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've seen, which is not a bad thing,
No, definitely not. Like I love the aesthetics of this game, and I think it's I'm not 100% sure of the making of it, the process behind it, but I think there's like just two people producing it at least.
Yeah.
I know they hired a composer, and I just need to talk a little bit about the music because it is awesome. It's again, it really reminds me of Mystical Ninja. Like it has this Japanese folk music, but it's very melodic, and it's just like it's perfect. It's so well suited to the game. And the
Yeah,
composer's
you
name,
were like
actually,
sending us YouTube links left and right in the group chat on every track from that game, and they were really catchy. That's nice.
yeah, his name is Hiroyuki Oshima, which is the composer of the game. I actually
Yeah.
started following him on Twitter just to see what he does next.
Oh no!
It's
You know,
really
I'm not a huge like I don't I've never understood why people were super into like video game soundtrack. Like they're like, oh, this video game soundtrack is it's awesome. Like me,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's like a game music that fits, but it's never been like I won't put it on my Spotify and just listen to it while I'm running.
Mhm.
You know, although I will say one that's always stood out to me was like the Streets of Rage 2 soundtrack is just banger. Like I'm like dun, 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 dun. So catchy.
Do you listen to that as like anytime on your free time, or like when you go
No,
to the
but I
gym,
mean
or-
sometimes I'll put it on just because I'm like, yeah, I want to listen to that right now. Like, but I won't
Yeah.
do that with any other like music soundtrack. You know, like some people do
I
that.
do it a lot.
Yeah.
I really enjoy, like there's a few soundtracks that I like keep listening to. Like one of them is Nier, the game that you're probably going to talk
The
about.
butt game, yeah.
The Nier Automata is like one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. I
Yeah.
love that soundtrack, and I go back and listen to it sometimes when I'm just like cleaning or doing the dishes. And also like the Persona games also have like killer soundtracks, both Persona 4 and 5 and 3, I think.
Those are like kind of RPG, Japanese orchestral kind of soundtracks, right?
No, I would say that the fifth one, they went with like acid jazz as inspiration.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's very jazzy. And the Persona 4 has more like a Japanese pop rock soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's very modern. Like it's not what you expect going into a JRPG. Like they're going to play like guitars, and you actually have like a singer singing in the background while you're like battling enemies.
Right. Dreamer Deceiver 666 says Bastion and Transistor have awesome soundtracks, and he listens to them as standalone music. I don't remember the music in Bastion and Transistor, but I do remember the overall sound design between like the voice acting and the musical cues, where like when the story would pick up, the music would change. I remember that being so effective and so badass, where I'm like, this is so unique. They literally changed the game making this game, you know? I don't know. I would love to get your opinion if you've played Hades at all, Mark, because that's a game that I picked up and I started and I have opinions about. But we may save that for another time. But yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, again, it's like I'm sure when I was playing Bastion, I'm like, this is awesome. This sounds great. But I don't know if I would listen to it on its own. You know,
I have a SoundCloud playlist with just game music, and I listen to it when I go work out. Like I love listening to like fighting game music when I'm running or when I'm training.
Nice.
And like all of the fighting games that I played growing up, like in like late 90s, early 2000, when most of the Capcom games and the SNK games, they went into like this jazzy music, and like they had the
dude, Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to take you
That's
for
the same
a
era.
ride. Yeah. That was that was really catchy. I still wouldn't listen to it outside of the game, but it's so iconic, right?
Yeah.
And you don't get sick of it.
Exactly. You have the one for Capcom vs. SNK with the I think it's from the 2 with the "This Is True Love" I'll send you the link.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, like the soundtrack in Sakuna it's very pleasing to listening to, and yeah, again, it really reminds me of Mystical Ninja from 1064.
So, who is Sakuna for? Right? You said it is kind of platform action adventure, and it is also rice farming sim. Like, if anyone's watching this, like, who would appreciate this type of game?
I would say that if you like any of those two things that you mentioned, like if you either like an action platformer with RPG elements with like a leveling system, it is for you. If you like just rice farming and you like farm simulators, it's also for you. So like if you like either of those two things, it's probably for you, because like both things are made really well. And I talked a lot about the rice farming part of the game, but like the combat system is also really good, and also has much more depth to it than I had anticipated.
Yeah. Well,
Like
go ahead. Sorry.
uh-huh.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, actually, like you'll have your light attacks and your heavy attacks, and I think I mentioned this before. It kind of reminds me of Smash Bros. It kind of plays exactly the same.
Oh,
So you have
interesting.
the directional inputs, like depending
Yeah.
on which way you're pressing,
Mhm.
basically you'll do different attacks, and also you have the special attack. So since you have 4 directional inputs, up, down, and left and right, you can gain new skills and equip them to those directions with your magical attack. And there's actually a bunch of attacks that you discover, so you can actually kind of find your play style,
Yeah.
and these special attacks also level up the more you use them, and get better and get like newer effects, and like they change color and do more damage. So there's like a leveling up system for just your skills as well.
Yeah. Would you say one ever gets in the way of the other? Like, do you ever feel like, hey, I
No.
just going through the fighting just so I can farm, or vice versa?
No, they are short enough for you to. The cycles are like they're just perfectly done, because you have a day and night cycle,
Yeah.
and you also have a fullness meter, which is you have your meal once a day with your family, which is on the evening, and then you get your fullness meter is just filled once you had your dinner, and as long as it's filled, as long as you have something in your fullness meter, your HP will regain after combat. But if you're hungry, you won't like get back your HP, so you have
Oh,
to go back to
interesting.
your horse and
So
eat.
the
And
farming directly affects how you perform in the action
Exactly.
part, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like because each season, like each harvest, you level up. Basically, and
Yeah.
based on how you made your rice, you will get different skill points in all of the stats that you have. You have like 6 different stats.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, since you have a day and night cycle, usually my day is like you start with spreading fertilizer that you had staying overnight and composing, and then you go out and do your levels, and once the sunset hits, you go back to the farm and just finish some stuff there, and hand in your materials to craft new items, and then you have dinner with family, and then you can either go to bed or stay up and do farming stuff during the evening,
So
during the night.
I will. Okay, so maybe I'm projecting here, but so Ilker is in Sweden,
Yeah.
and they are in the middle of basically 3 months of pitch blackness.
That's
Do
right,
you
yeah.
think that this game hit you at the perfect time, and that like you have almost no option but to stay indoors, and like this is kind of like scratching the itch of being outdoors and being active?
There's definitely some truth in that, because like you have all the seasons in the game. You have like spring and summer and autumn and winter, and once spring comes and once the summer comes and the music changes to this upbeat melody,
Yeah.
I get so happy and just like run around in my rice garden, spreading fertilizer and just jumping around.
Right.
And yeah, there's definitely something to it. I really need that, because yeah, as you said, like it's been dark for quite a while now, and these past 3 days it's been just snowing and it's been below 0 degrees.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
it's nice to have a summer game, a sunny game to play.
That's right. I mean, shit, it's a new year. This is actually our first
Yeah.
stream, group stream, so to speak, of the new year. You know, bless this year for you. May your Tinder be lit like mine was after Crazy Rich Asians came out.
Mhm. But yeah, that's
any other thoughts on the
that's
game?
Sakuna. No, actually, that's it. That's it. Like I'm hitting the 30-hour mark in that game.
That's
Uh,
substantial, yeah.
and I think I'm very close to the end of the game. And like again, I am really enjoying it. I love that game. But also I am looking forward to finish it because like all good things have to come to an end. And I've been wanting to play Yakuza Like a Dragon, and I kind of want to fully commit to that game once I just sit down and play it.
That batshit
So
crazy game, yeah.
yeah, so I'm actually really looking forward to finishing Sakuna maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
So
other than that, like it's not that many games.
there's one goal that I have for us, or just in general, that I want to accomplish this year, which is we always talk about when we finish a game, there's that feeling of reflectiveness or whatever. Like when you finish a good game or a good book or a good movie, there's just that really satisfying contemplative feeling that you have. Like you've been through this journey. We got to have a name for that. We got to create a name for that. Because sometimes, cultures, different languages have names for things that aren't present in other cultures. Like umami isn't there is not a direct translation in English for umami. The closest we have is savory, but that doesn't completely cover it,
No.
But yeah.
We will need to find a good word.
Yeah, absolutely. What else you playing? What else you got?
Actually, nothing else. I have not played that many other games aside from Sakuna. I just bought a bunch of games, but I haven't played anything yet. But
ain't that the truth?
Yeah, but I'm actually like looking into the developer of Sakuna, Edelweiss, and
are they
I actually
German, Swiss?
I have no idea. I think they're Japanese.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. They made another game that is called Astabreed, which I apparently had bought on Steam a few years ago. So I'm actually gonna check that out.
Nice.
I'm done with Sakuna because they did this before Sakuna.
Nice.
But yeah, other than that, I finished watching Detention, the series.
Oh, the series.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So if you look back on our archives on YouTube, you'll see that for Halloween month, spooky month, we played a bunch of scary games, and one of them was Detention. And why don't you give the elevator pitch for Detention? You know a little bit more about that game and history than I do. Actually, Mark is about to play Detention, so I could send you that link, Mark. But anyways, go ahead.
I don't know. I like. How do you summarize that game? Like, it takes place during the White Terror of Taiwan.
Yeah.
How's that for a pitch?
Yeah, a 30-year period of martial law that actually happened, and it is a closest I can say is point and click horror, right?
It's, definitely a point and click adventure, horror adventure.
Yeah, to be honest, there's not much game there, but the story is really kind of like disturbing and for how cartoony and comic-y looking it was, it really affected the both of us psychologically and kind of put me in a dark place, that's for sure.
Definitely for me, like I remember just going into my bed and crying after the stream.
Oh, shit.
That was such a sad ending.
Yeah.
And the Netflix series kind of leans to that story by the end, but it's also they also like talk. There's a different story, but it's also really dark. I don't know how many.
Yeah, I'm maybe 4 episodes in, and Detention on Netflix is the sequel to the video game, which is wild because it's a Netflix show that is a sequel to an indie video game, which like I can't think of any indie game that has had any kind of show or movie adaptation. So that's pretty phenomenal. There are a lot. I grew up Chinese, so there was a lot of like Chinese folklore involved that I was able to kind of walk Ilker through and reference and stuff like that, because I think it would have just kind of gone over your head had you played it alone. So.
Definitely, yeah. But that was so cool to actually experience.
Yeah. Did you like it at the end? Because I know you were kind of lukewarm about it in the beginning, the show.
Yeah, I think the last episode is. I think every character in that show is crying for different reasons.
Yeah.
I ended up liking it. It's a good show, but again, like you have to watch at least 2 episodes before it actually gets into the real story of that series.
Right.
And then again, like if you play the game, it kind of you're trying to find like a connection there all the time. At least me, like I'm just watching there, like, oh, what is the connection here to the game, and where's the story, and maybe I should just have watched the series first and then play the game.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Let's treat the game as a prequel to the series.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your turn, Brian. What have you been playing?
My turn. I've been playing a lot. I've been kind of cooped up. I came down with a case of the shingles because I was so stressed. My immune system took a dip. So I've been staying indoors, losing my beautiful summer tan, getting to a healthy pale color. But I've been just looking for a lot of escapism.
You look fresh.
Yeah. Thank you. Asian skin. The Asian don't raisin is a good one.
The what?
Asian don't raisin is a good saying. Like we don't age. There's a jade don't fade is another one. Or beige don't age.
Like are these actual sayings?
Yeah. Like you hear black don't crack, like black people don't age. But our equivalent is beige don't age or Asian don't raisin.
Okay.
I love it. Anywho, I've been just looking for a lot of like escapism. And, like I like getting lost in stories, and like sometimes I don't feel like playing a game like actively. So like I've been really getting into walking sims ever since I played What Remains of Edith Finch last year, which is like you walk around and you watch the story unfold, and it was really, really entertaining. So since then, I've been trying to chase that dragon. Like I've been hooked. So I played what was highly recommended, which was Firewatch by Camposanto. Let's see, what else did I play? Call of the Sea by Raw Fury.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Firewatch, because I recently played that as well. What did you like about it?
It was good. Again, I'm still chasing that dragon and haven't found anything as good as Edith Finch, but Firewatch on its own was great. It was just a cool little short story to play through. You play as this guy that's kind of an emotional wreck, and he takes his Firewatch job in a national park to kind of run away from his problems, and craziness ensues. And it's cool. It's riveting. It's thrilling. What I thought was really neat about it is something I hope more indie game developers do, which is after you play the game, there's an option to do developer commentary.
Right.
And the way they did it in this game is so cool, which is...
I didn't try it. So
it's great. I have a stream on it. I think I don't think I've uploaded to YouTube yet, but like they treat it like you're actually at a national park. So you go and you pick up this tape and you put it in a little Walkman and you listen to it as you're walking around. And there's certain parts where they're talking about like computer modeling, and they'll have a model of your character just standing there, and you can like examine parts of them and stuff. Cool. It's really neat.
What does the protagonist look like? Because I don't think you saw the model.
You don't see the model necessarily, but you do see a sketch of him towards the end that has to do with like your conversation with the other tower, you know. But yeah, it was a great game. I highly recommend it. There's no puzzles or anything like that. You just kind of go through the motion. There's very minimal game there. You watch it unfold.
Between dialogue options, basically.
Yeah. You pick and choose dialogue options. They have kind of not so much bearing on how the game unfolds. I think there are multiple endings.
Yeah, there's actually. Yeah, I think. Is there multiple endings? I'm not sure.
There's good and bad. You decide to. I don't know. Like, there's two choices. I don't know if they lead to two different endings, though. That's something I haven't checked out.
I don't think they do, actually. I think there's just one ending to the game, and your dialogue options doesn't matter that much.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
I will say though, like between the two dialogue options, that kind of creates your own narrative for that ending, right? They color the ending differently, even if it is the same.
Definitely.
It's cool. It's a really nice. I would say it's a great short story, and you get that feeling like we were talking about. We need a word for like you finish the game and you just kind of sit there like very satisfied and contemplative. That was really nice.
Very good voice acting as well. Okay.
Great. Yeah, it had the guy from Mad Men that wore the glasses, Rich Sommer. I think his name is.
I think that's his name, but
yeah, great voice. He's also a huge nerd, and he's really into board games. He has like he's been on Will Wheaton's Tabletop once, I believe. Yeah, really cool. Call of the Sea was another one that was a great story, and in my opinion, too much game. It's beautiful though, beautifully art directed, very watercolor painterly. It kind of has Lovecraftian vibes, where like there's an elder god and these weird rituals happen and blah blah blah. Too much puzzle in my opinion, and like I think it got away. It took me out of the game, because I think the downfall with puzzle games is if your brain doesn't think that way, it's just not a fun puzzle, right? So
I mean,
yeah.
Did they get too hard? Like, did you get stuck a lot?
I got stuck a few times and had to look it up. What was that?
Were there any slide puzzles?
Kind of, yeah. There was kind of like a little like, turn this off and it turns those two lights on. Like basically like the same concept. And I hate that stuff, like my brain just doesn't think that way. I'm not like, the spatial puzzle kind of person, but story, great story. Really tragic, the way it unfolds. And I think that has multiple endings. I recommend it if you have Game Pass, because it's free on Game Pass. Really great.
I need to get that. How long is it?
I would say it's like a 5-hour game. And if you want to kind of just tune in like it is like Game of Thrones, where you just play a few episodes or play a few chapters a night and then play a few another night, you'll breeze through it. The Raw Fury that made that game, Call of the Sea, also made Star Renegades. And they made West of Dead, which is that game that had...
Those games are very different. Because I play Star Renegades, and I've seen some bits of Call of the Sea.
Yeah, Call of the Sea.
It's pretty cool that they made some different games.
Yeah, West of Dead has that voice actor, or that actor who just looks like a thug, a Cro-Magnon, like just what the hell's his name? Hang on, let me look that up. West of Dead voice act. Ron Perlman. He was in. I remember him from Alien Resurrection, and he was in.
Put him up on.
He was Hellboy, the original Hellboy. Ron Perlman.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Great voice, excellent for like a skeleton dude. Yeah, that was cool. What else? Hang on, I'm gonna put Brian's games. What was it? Firewatch. What else did I play?
I know what you played.
What did I play?
Nier Automata.
I played Nier Automata. I call the butt game Automata. Nier Automata, which was a nice surprise, because I mean, I'll be honest, like most anime games are kind of the same, or anime looking games are kind of the same. Like that video you sent in our text thread, where like all JRPGs like revolve around a crystal and some ancient power reviving or something like that.
You were the one that sent us that.
Oh, was it? No, I thought it was. Okay, yeah. It was great. It was on the nose. It was very on the nose. So like I was like putting off for so long, and then you mentioned that the protagonist has a really skimpy outfit. I was like, there's something really interesting about that game that I might be interested in. But no, and then you talked about how like it has strong existentialism themes, and why don't you give an elevator pitch for that game? I think you've you've given me the refined elevator pitch over the last year.
I played that game 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I would not know how to describe that game, because you play as this android butt lady,
yeah.
who's honestly, I like you just go back to Earth and try to kill robots, because robots have taken over, and people are waiting to come back to Earth. That's basically the
like WALL-E, basically.
something like that. Yeah,
Sexy, slutty Wally.
But it gets really dark. I really don't want to spoil anything for you because it's so much better if you just go into that game dark.
Sure. Yeah.
But I'll say that the combat is awesome. You experience some of it because it's a platinum game, and it's like platinum does their best, I think, which is their action fighting games.
It also happens to be free on Game Pass. That's why I downloaded it.
Oh, okay. I actually heard that the PC version has some issues, but
I'm playing it on Xbox.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's so much to that game. Like if you're interested in the game, there's side quests you can do that will give you like to flesh out the universe and like kind of explain what happened to Earth, because when you get back there, like it's a mess. Like it looks like humans haven't been living there for quite some time.
Yeah.
Like everything is overgrown, and I don't know. Have you made it to the desert yet?
I just got to the first act where you revive on the satellite station for the first time, and for me, so far it was a nice surprise because I didn't know anything about the combat. I thought it was just going to be another like kind of God of War clone, but it ended up being it's a legitimately fun game. It reminds me of mid 90s, early 90s arcade style bullet hell shooter and beat 'em up at the same time, and it's really kind of fresh and unique, and really so far it's fun.
Because like it draws a lot of inspiration from bullet hell games, and a lot of the bosses are like bullet hell shooters, basically.
Yeah,
there's some really fun boss encounters in that game. You have to do other stuff than just fight them. But like I'll say that I think the next part, I actually don't remember where in the game that is, but like it has one of the best deserts I've played in a video game. Just because it has so much atmosphere, and the music is really good once you enter the desert, and like you have like the humans that used to live there. It feels like it's like our it feels like our society is like Asian history. Like it feels like there's this Asian race that used to live here, which is us, and they kind of tell that so well in the environment. And they definitely especially in the desert. Once you get to
you're trying so hard not to spoil it. I get it. I totally get it. But world building is what I love. Without actually like saying it, they show it, right? Which is my favorite. Yeah. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I remember just walking around there in the desert, like once you find that thing in the desert, you just walk around there, and kind of like it was a bit tragic. Like it used to live people here, and now everyone's gone.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of patience these days. I've just been getting antsy, and I just need to at least go for a walk and stuff like that. But I do like 1-2 hour spurts of gaming a day, and
you need a really good fighting game, I think.
Yeah,
you need to get into.
I think so. I haven't been into a fighting game since like Street Fighter Alpha back in the day, and it's just like doing the moves
and practice.
Yeah. I've been playing a lot more games than that too. I've been playing Mark. Dreamer Deceiver 666, he played A Short Hike, and that's kind of been on my list, and that was the cause for me to kind of finally pull the trigger and play that. And so let me put this down, A Short Hike. And I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's kind of like PS1 era graphics. You're a bird on an island, and the main objective, it is very actually, it takes some of the best parts of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it's in a 2.5 hour game. So like you have one objective, which is to get to the top of the mountain. But as you're taking this hike, you encounter other people, you collect feathers, you like help people solve issues, and you're like, oh, what's that? So you go this way, you go fishing, that kind of stuff, you know?
I might have seen some of this game.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you just look at the trailer, it looks kind of like, what's the big deal? But like the ratings are very good. And if you play it, you're like, oh, I get it. I totally get it, you know? Yeah. Short Hike is by a single dude, I believe, Adam Grieu. and I highly recommend it. And I think it was like on sale on Steam fairly recently for like $13.
Basically, everything was on sale on Steam.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
So it was a good time.
January.
Bought a lot of good stuff. Bought the new Call of Duty, Cold War. I'm really into the zombies mode with my cousins. That's kind of like our poker night. We get together and we play that game and get some anxiety out of our system. That's fun. Flame in the Flood. I bought for $4 on Switch sale. And that
Flame in the Flood
was a monthly game contender last year on our travel theme. It didn't make it, but the soundtrack is amazing, like really, really good. Actually, that's one game where the soundtrack is like a fully fledged musical band with lyrics and all that kind of stuff. And it would seem like the band created that album before they made the game, but I think they made that album for the game. But you can listen to it on its own.
To the soundtrack after you finish the game.
Yeah, I will admit that is the one exception so far that I can think of. It's very good, Flame in the Flood. It's a survival game. You're like trying to see roguelike survival games, so you see how far down you can make it down this river and survive while you're fighting hunger and thirst and all that kind of stuff and the elements. I was like, I'll just try it out, and then I ended up playing it for like 2 hours. So it's very addictive for how short the runs are, that was good. And another game where you can turn on developer commentary, which is really neat. So like you can play through and see these kiosks and you can listen to them talk about that part of the game that they were making. It was a Kickstarter game, so they talk about that a lot and the process of kickstarting and delivering, all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. And apparently there's like you wake up knowing nothing other than like you're kind of washed up and you're trying to make it down the river. And so apparently there's a really kind of cool story in there that you discover. No? Flame in the Flood. Let me write that down. Flame in the Flood. There's that one. What else did I play? Hyrule Warriors.
Oh yeah, I've been playing that as well.
What do you think of it?
I think we talked a little bit about it during the Christmas special. I think it's all right. I haven't played a lot of those. I think it's called Muso games, the Dynasty Warrior games. I think one of the first games that I bought on my Xbox 360 was that kind of game, but I don't remember what it was called. Anyway, that was I think it's a good game. Like it's fun in a few short bursts if you play it like in small sessions. Like for me, it really like it makes or breaks on the characters. I think like how they play.
Right. And it is so far that what I know, it's a prequel kind of to Breath of the Wild, which is a draw for me because I don't normally like hack and slash games. But like, I mean, if the story is going to be good, I think.
I mean, if you've played Breath of the Wild, you know everyone's going to die.
So right.
You kind of know the end of the game, but I mean, it's still. I don't think the story is that interesting. I think it's just like the characters are fun to play. It's fun to play those characters that were in Breath of the Wild with the mermaid girl Mifa and the boulder guy. I can't remember something.
Yeah, you can say mermaid girl and boulder guy. That's fine. That's what I call him.
And Birdman and that desert lady with the red hair.
The Gerudo people.
Yeah, but actually, it's also super fun to play as Impa. I think she's one of my favorite characters so far because
young Impa. She's awesome because she's one of the few people that doesn't die, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and she has this super cool attack where she just throws her hat into the air and teleports to the enemy and just like and then gets back and picks up her hat in the air and just put it back on. It looks so cool.
That's very stylish and very cool.
Yeah. And also, like, Zelda is a playable character, and she, like, what is she? She's like a wizard. She just uses that tablet.
Her iPad.
Sheikah Slate, exactly, and just do like different Sheikah attacks with the magnets and the frost, the ice cube thingy, and and the Magnesis, I think it's called.
Yeah, Magnesis, I believe so. Yep.
Uh,
Yeah. So far, I mean, I played maybe like 30 minutes of that game. I was like, I get it. I
yeah,
want to get through it. Just I love that world. You know, I want to know that more of the story there, and seeing all these people in their prime versus dead was pretty neat.
exactly.
You know.
I really hope there's more characters there as well.
Yeah.
I hope there's some surprises. But so far, like it's what I expected.
Right.
And it really looks like Breath of the Wild. Like it seems like they've used basically all the same assets from that game.
Yeah, well, it's a cheap game to make for sure. I'm sure, real easy for them. Lastly, indie game wise, I played a game that I was glowing about in our group chat called Figment, and it was like a $3 game that I saw on sale randomly in like a collection of like, hey, indie games that have sequels coming out this month, and one of them was Figment. Figment is a game that's kind of abstract. The art style is kind of a little bit Dali, a little bit like the Monty Python Holy Grail kind of interstitial art, you know?
Yeah.
Really charming about dealing with trauma and facing your fears. And the surprise and delight was when I played the game, it is a musical. The game is a musical. So like you're walking and it's very Bastion in that like when you move to different areas, musical cues trigger and stuff. And when you encounter the boss, he's like singing to you like a fucking musical. And it was so charming. I fell in love. It's really neat.
Okay.
And the sequel comes out this week. Actually, I think the sequel comes out today, if not tomorrow.
Is it a short game? Do you think I can just cram that in between Sakuna and Yakuza?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's 3-hour game, something like that.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's really charming, and I just had a big old smile on my face while I was playing, and it was exactly what I needed. You know, I mean, it kind of tugs on your heartstrings in the beginning, but the way they wrap it around this like kind of whimsical like musical wrapper is really, really fun. And it like really light puzzles that are easy enough for my dumb mind to kind of grasp, you know. But I highly recommend it, especially at like $3-4. Like you cannot complain. It's such a good game.
Yeah.
And the sequel, I don't know how good that's going to be, how well that's going to be received, but if it's anything like the first one, I'm all for it. Really great.
I'll check it out. What was the name?
Figment is the name of the game. Yeah.
Perfect. No, everybody.
And those are the many indie games I've been playing over the past 3 weeks, I believe. What about let's talk about games. Let's take a quick segue here. And let's talk about games that we're excited to be playing in this next coming month. Let me make a quick transition. Hang on. And here we go. We're going to talk about the games we're excited to play. So, Ilker, what are you excited to be playing?
I'm super excited to play Yakuza Like a Dragon. I've started playing that game before the holidays, and I took a break because I couldn't bring my PlayStation to my parents. And I've been wanting to get back to that game ever since I visited my parents. So I'm excited to play that. I also bought a game that should be arriving today or Monday, which is called Sakura Wars, which is another JRPG where you play
Sakura Wars, you said?
Exactly, yeah, Sakura Wars. It's basically teenagers and mechs battling.
Yeah.
It looked nice, and it's gotten really good reviews. I think some people are calling it one of the best JRPGs that came out of 2020.
That's a bold statement.
I mean, yeah, but then again, I don't know how many JRPGs that was released during 2020.
Just one.
Exactly.
Hey, was it Final Fantasy VII Remake? Was one of
course, yeah. I think that would be that would be the best, if you ask me.
All right. Again, bold statement. I believe you.
Yeah, but yeah, those are the two, and I'm actually trying. I think I'm going to pull the trigger on the 13 Sentinels as well, which is another JRPG by Vanillaware, the people that made Audience Ware, NASA. Dragon's Crown. If anyone played that.
Yeah, hey, you're our token JRPG guy. I haven't played a JRPG since since Chrono Trigger, probably.
Yeah. They make.
I was going to say, shout out to anyone new that's joining us. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to our nerdy little secret accidental podcast here. And if you have a Twitch account and you could spare a follow, please follow us, because we're going to try to monetize and make enamel pins and T-shirts and Indie Game Social Club branded condoms and snacks.
Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna workshop that idea.
Let's discuss that.
Yeah,
I think those are but then again, like, these are games that are probably 80+ hours. I don't know how I will find the time to play those, but
I think that's why I stopped, because after a certain while I was like, I can't. Life's too short to be playing one game for 100 hours. You know.
Yeah. I also wanted to be like, I think I might get back into Crusader Kings this weekend.
Incest game.
The incest game, yeah. I have a really, really nice, very like handsome and good-looking
inbred. Yeah.
I just pick people that are beautiful. That have like the gene. I think the gene trait they have is called
beautiful. Yeah, nice.
So if you pair two beautiful, get beautiful children as well, and nice. I use my children to make pacts with other countries.
I realized that I think that's a strategy, right? That's a very viable strategy. But that game is on free as well on Game Pass, which, guys, if you have an Xbox or PC and don't have Gamebox, don't be a dumb. Just get it, because there's so many free games, so many indie free games if you're into indie games.
I think we actually could even do a segment that is like what's on the Game Pass.
Well, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
But yeah, I think the Game Pass is
yeah. I mean, I played Call of the Sea on Game Pass. I played a lot of indie games on Game Pass. A lot of indie games.
So what are you excited to play?
No, is that it? The JRPGs in general.
Again, like we were talking about 200 hours of gaming there, so I don't know how much more I should be planning, but
right.
Those are the 3 games. Yeah.
Nice. I recently bought. It was on a deep sale. It's called Istanbul Digital Edition, which is a digital adaptation of a board game that I really like. Yeah. It's kind of like a really dry resource managing. You're pushing around wood cubes around the table and stuff like that, but it's very satisfying. It's kind of like a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, the game, but it's nice. And there's a Japanese version that I own personally in real life called Yokohama that works very similarly. And it's fun. It's a very good board game. And so,
did you know that if I ever become a professional wrestler, I wanted my nickname to be Istanbul with 2 L's.
Ooh, nice. Or a lesbian roller derby name. Yeah.
I'm part Turkish, and one of my special moves would be the ball.
It's the Istanbul.
Just tackle people with my head. Just
you can do that without being a wrestler too. What else? Let me pop open my Steam real quick. I did buy a lot of like $3, $2 games. Just like I need that escapism. It's like nice and short. Doesn't demand too much of your attention, but gives you a nice experience. I played Phasmophobia last night with Dreamer Deceiver 666. I totally missed that rush during Halloween, and it was very fun. I don't know if you ever did this growing up, but I used to do a lot of like urban exploring with my friends, where we go into like abandoned buildings and try to scare each other, and like I heard something. It felt exactly like that. It was very, very fun. Graphics were absolute shit, but really like in a funny, charming way. Like when you're typing on the computer, the person bends over completely and pushes their head against the keyboard. It's great. It's really funny.
That game looks really fun. I watched the giant bomb, but the guys play that, and
it was great.
It was super fun to watch, and I want to play that game as well.
It's January 14th, and it's the best $13 I spent all year so far.
I'll get that game and play with you guys as well.
Yes, please do.
The game are the levels can you repeat them? Like, are there different ghosts each time, or is it the same ghost for each level?
We were starting to think that they were procedurally generated. I think there's different levels that are kind of like set, like they don't change, but the ghost to level combination is different, which doesn't really give you that much. But it's at its heart, it's kind of a detective game, a really light detective game that's more centered around like atmosphere and scaring you and stuff. Because if you look at our clip section on our Indie Game Social Club Twitch, you'll see I clipped 2 where Mark screamed in legit terror. You hear him just in the background going, ah! It was fantastic. It was really, really fun. I were streaming that for a couple of my friends last night. What else did I play? Oh, I bought this game called Saturn Quest Blast Effect. Saturn Quest Blast, which is an 8-bit style indie game that it looks like it's boss rush. So think Shadow of the Colossus. So you're this like tiny little guy that's working through this gigantic stage, and like part of it is like you're climbing up its knee and like hitting it and stuff like that. And there's much more. It looks like there's shoot 'em up, there's platforming and stuff like that too. Mark says, no, I didn't. He's vigorously trying to hit the delete button on that clip. Saturn Quest Blast Effect is on my list. What else? So one of the members of Indie Game Social Club, Anna, works for the same company that makes Payday, Payday 2, and so she was kind enough to lend DLC codes for me and my cousins. And so my cousins have been logging mad hours in that game. I haven't caught up yet. I still need to do the tutorial, but it's still a fun game considering how old it is, you know? It's a heist game.
Yeah, but does it have multiplayer?
Oh, yeah. So you can have a squad and like do Ocean's 11 shit. It's wonderful.
Cool.
And they have like a Joker DLC, like, you know, from The Dark Knight and all that kind of stuff. It's really neat. What else have I gotten? Wonder Song I'm excited to play. That is like Wonder Song. It's an action adventure platformer game where you play as a bard and you're healing the world with music, and it looks really cute and the music seems really charming, and I can't wait to dive into it. I think that's gonna be really fun. I might stream that if you want to join in.
Sure.
Really cool.
We have 2 very different buffers of games that we're about to play, and
for sure. I think that does it for me, at least in the games that I'm really excited to play in the near future, for sure. Any other games that come to mind as I was talking about that?
No, like I think I'm going to check out that Asta Breed game as well. The makers of Sakuna. I at least need to check that game out and just see how it is, since I like Sakuna so much. So, but no, other than that, like I kind of want to play a new fighting game. I played some Street Fighter last week, but I think I'm excited to play something new. I'm not sure when that new Guilty Gear game comes out, but hopefully soon.
I think I might take a little hiatus from. Like, I've been playing a lot of games, and I've been trying to play like a healthy amount, but I need to not be cooped up indoors. So I might take a few days hiatus and just go outside and run my ass off, or
that sounds
other forms of healthy escapism for sure.
Yeah, well, you need to find that routine, I think, and get some exercise.
Absolutely. So I think that does it for our first episode of Smalltalk so far. Yeah. I think it went well. Thanks for joining us, everybody in chat, including Mark, who actually, for sure, definitely screamed his heart out. And it's archived in our.
Hey, I screamed a lot when we played that 766.
Phenomenal. Sweet 776. Really great.
Yeah, we could probably make a Scream compilation pretty soon.
Scream Fest would be really fun. But why don't I play us out? Hey, if you're new in chat, please give us a follow. Tickle that follow button. Make it moist. and we'd really appreciate it. And we'll see you in 2 weeks when we do our big group stream on our monthly game, Valhalla. Say bye, Ilker.
Bye, Ilker.
Bye.